That looks like Juan Cinco. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Good time for you still?
Yes, absolutely. How are you?
I am fantastic because I'm speaking to one of the great guitarists of a generation. Are you ready for more compliments like that, or is that the quota?
No, great. Thank you so much. That's very kind.
The last time I had the pleasure of interviewing you, it was by phone a couple of years ago. And you said something to me that cracked me up so much, which was that you like to do guitar restringing and guitar related tests while you're doing phone interviews. You're figuring like, hey, it's a good use of my time. But Zoom kind of killed that for you, didn't it?
It did. I swear on my life. I swear on my life right now. I was going to get on the treadmill while talking to you, and I just couldn't get the phone position correct. So, because I have so much shit to do, I have so much stuff to do, and I don't know. I couldn't pull it off.
I
So,
apologize for getting in the way of cardio. You can still do cardio. I don't mind as long as your mind is still there.
yeah, jumpy. I'm talking. Uh-oh. Sorry. I gotta hold on. Sorry, my phone rings and sorry about that.
The man is in demand because Sinner is such a great album, right?
Thank you.
What we'll get in with. What I love about your album is kind of what I love about you as an artist, in that you were clearly a very smart human being who likes a lot of dumb culture. So, in other words, there's skill behind what you do. There's many, many, many years of practice and hours of practice. You can't deny it. But then you also like a good fart joke. So it's kind of like balancing the highbrow and the lowbrow.
Absolutely. I mean, I love such, you know, I think my comedy, like, look at life and look at things, you have to laugh, and it's so important. But I love just the dumbest stuff ever. Like, and I'll talk to my friends just about the dumbest, like, memes or like little funny stuff. I love it. So yeah. And I think it's important. Everything shouldn't be so serious all the time.
Yeah. And I think that really puts you alone in the guitar world. There's very few virtuoso guitarists that had any element of humor in what they did. Like Zappa is the go-to for most of that, but it's really a handful of guitar greats who still had funny song titles per se. Like most people wouldn't even touch the song titles as having humor in them.
Right. Yeah. It's, and everything's not so serious. And like, remember like going to concerts and like seeing Van Halen, they were having a great time, but seeing like, some metal artists and they're just so angry and stuff like that, and it's great and stuff, but you're there to have a good time too.
For sure. So was Sinner an easy album to make, generally speaking, or a harder album to make? Because obviously you have to hear the stuff in your head before you put it down. It's not just noodling.
No, and there's no improv or anything on the record. So it was a very difficult album to make. And I just trained myself just to do it as a complete take, no punch-ins or anything. So if I messed up, I'll start from the beginning.
Wow.
So yeah, what you hear on the record is it's just discipline. Because I had so much time on my hands. So what I did is I just was like training, almost like just practicing and practicing and practicing before I went into the studio. And if I messed up or if something wasn't right, I'd start right back from the beginning. And it was a really good way to do it. I just wanted to do things as a performance. And it was wonderful because I did some shows and we played like 3 songs off the new record. And it sounded just like the record because it was, the record's pretty much live. So it really was a fun way to do things.
Now, the record company that you're on, is it pronounced Varvatos or Varvatos? No one seems to know.
Well, Big Machine, I guess Varvatos.
Yeah, I'm sure the Greek ancestors are pissed that it's called Varvatos. It's Varvatos. But
Yeah.
Whatever it is, did you know outright that you were recording for Big Machine before you started recording?
No, I always am recording, and we did the LA Rats. We did I've Been Everywhere, and it really, was wonderful. We had a great time making it, and it was for Big Machine. And Scott Bruschetta, the president of the label, did some research on me, and he said, I want to get in the John 5 business. And I was like, that'd be great. And because I never wanted to be with a record label, because I kind of did everything my own, and it really worked out well. But being with Scott, I just couldn't say no. It was incredible. I mean, Big Machine is massive, and I'm honored to be a part of that family.
The first non-country artist I can think of that Big Machine worked with was Cheap Trick. Am I wrong about that?
No, you are correct. And I can see you like Cheap Trick.
Somebody's got to.
And, one of my favorite bands too. And I was so pleased that they were, working with Scott as well. I just absolutely love. Oh my God, do I love like Dream Police album and, all that stuff. I used to roller skate around. My dog used to shit in the basement. So I would put on that album and just roller skate in between the shit. And that's how I got so good at roller skating.
The almighty Michigan upbringing, where I'm guessing you had to do indoor activities, and roller skating would be part of that.
Yes, absolutely. And it was, it's funny to say, but it was a wonderful upbringing. It was really nice. I played guitar. I played in all those clubs. I played everywhere I could growing up, and it was really wonderful. It was a great upbringing. I had a blast, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I was very lucky.
When I think about entertainment, I can't think of a city that had more of an impact on the world than Detroit, but at the same time gets less credit for anything. Because when you say Detroit, they say Motown. But people don't really go straight to Grand Funk Railroad, who, despite legacy mismanagement, maybe the biggest rock band of their era. And then Bob Seger, of course. Like, there's this whole category of stuff right there. And then you look at comedy and you go, Sinbad is from there. And there's this whole comedy world, Mike Binder, et cetera, that is from there. And filmmakers, et cetera. Yet no one really seems to be unified on the same page and going, we're all from Detroit.
Yeah. And of course, Alice Cooper, there was
Jack White, Kid Rock, Insane Clown Posse, et cetera.
Yeah. Eminem, and it's wonderful, and it's a hard-working place, and it was a great place to grow up, and of course, Kiss got their their big break in Detroit as well. Right.
When you go back to Detroit, like through town, do you get a hero's welcome, or do people just think of you as an LA guy at this point in time?
A little bit of both, a little bit of both. I've been living in LA since '88, so quite a long time.
Right. What can I say? It's a multifaceted career. You're very hard to define, because Detroit guy, LA guy, I don't know. What genre do you play? I don't know. But what I do, my favorite kind of guitar that you do play is the chicken picking. And am I correct that started with Hee Haw for you?
Yes, that's what inspired me to play guitar, to play Telecasters, was Hee Haw. And I loved, my dad, listened to Roy Clark and Chet Atkins and Buck Owens, and I just really loved that music. And I thought the guitar playing was just so fast and burning. I was like, whoa, this is like crazy. And this was before I discovered Van Halen. And I remember how fast it was, because I loved Jimi Hendrix, and I was like, whoa, this is like pretty insane. And that's what inspired me. That's what inspired me to play the Telecaster too, is just watching all those pickers on Hee Haw.
Yes. Is that also where the influence for the fancy guitars came from? Did I see the lava lamp guitar that you did?
Yes.
I'm assuming that's not far off from Hee Haw influence.
No, but I do have a Buck Owens Telecaster. They're red, white, and blue. So yeah, that's definitely from Hee Haw. And I do have a song called Hell Haw. So it's a nice little parody on Hee Haw.
Well, you've brought up the Van Halen name twice. That is my job in interviews, to make people who have no business talking about Van Halen, make them talk about Van Halen kind of stuff. That's what I do, and you kind of open up the door there. So is it okay to ask you a couple of Roth questions that are all polite and positive? Okay.
Of course.
So
good name for a show is, I'm going to make you talk about Van Halen.
I do that all the time. I did that to Jason Aldean. I said, hey, pop quiz. Who's the best frontman of Van Halen? I did that to Linkin Park, do all that kind of stuff. And usually it leads to good things.
Yeah. Like, even if you're at the grocery store, you're buying hot wings and you're like, hot wings, that reminds me of Hot for Teacher. I ever, so just, you can always bring up Van Halen.
The only time I think that really backfired was talking to Steve Brown from Trickster, and he started talking about Hagar, and I went, wait, what? That's your okay, good for you, Steve. You're a great guy. But so you are the reason why people know that there's an unreleased David Lee Roth studio album. And luckily, we have heard 3 or 4 of the songs released over the last, 9 months or so. Do you get a notice every time one of those songs comes out, or do you just find out, oh, cool, publishing?
I don't get a notice, which is funny. I just find out like on Blabbermouth or something. But there's a song that I just can't wait for Dave to release. It's called Nothing Could Have Stopped Us. And it's about Van Halen. And it's just it's my favorite song that I've ever done with Dave. And it is beautiful. I don't know why he's not releasing that one yet. And I just can't wait for people to hear that one, because it's about Van Halen. It's just absolutely wonderful. I just am really looking forward to him releasing that one.
Are all the tracks from that album you, Greg Bissonette, and Brett Tuggle?
Yes. Yeah.
So you on guitar and bass, both kind of like the DLR band album?
Exactly. And we'll just get in the studio and we'll just knock it out. And we had a great time. We had a blast, a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. And, I'm just so happy that I had that cool working vibe with Dave, is that we could just jump into the studio anytime and knock out some songs, and I'm very lucky because he's, not a lot of people get a chance to do that with Dave.
For sure. What I heard with the A Different Kind of Truth album was that the band tracked all the instrumentals, and then he in a separate studio put the lyrics together and the vocals together. Did he track the vocals for this unreleased album in your presence or around the musicians?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was, we were all in there together. I remember we were just all in there together, and that's how it was. We were all just doing it together, kind of like, the old days, and he wanted to do it like that. And it really was a lot of fun. We had so much fun doing it, and it's one of my fondest memories.
When most people talk about loving Roth's solo career, they initially talk about Eat 'Em and Smile and Skyscraper. And then a lot of people go like, yeah, he lost me at A Little Ain't Enough. In my case, I love the DLR band album. It still sounds great. It's one of the heaviest things he's done, if not the heaviest, next to A Different Kind of Truth. Like, the guitars sound fantastic. Most of the songs 100% hold up. It's great. This new stuff you did with him, it's great. So whatever you brought to the table, please take those compliments right there. But what I'm curious about with the DLR band album, it's kind of in that weird era where there was the internet, but not really the internet. If you didn't have a record company funding your music videos, you probably didn't make music videos. So there's so little info out there about the album, except who played on it, Slam Dunk was a single, and that's it. Was there ever a plan for you to join his band in the live sense?
Oh, absolutely. There was. I remember him saying, come on over, we're going to work out stage moves, and I'm going to do a kick over your head and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, that's awesome. And I got a call to join Marilyn Manson. Yeah. And I told Dave, and he was very supportive. He thought it was great. But with that record, with DLR, it's cool because Dave is a very smart guy, and he was
Yes.
way ahead of his time. He made all of those CDs. So if you have a CD there, he made, like, they were making those in his back house. So he was, it was what was at Records. And I think that's so smart because that's what everyone's doing today. And he was just so ahead of his time and so smart.
Right. And the more people that I speak to who've played in his band over time is the more I'm hearing that every lineup of his band was basically full of changes and last minute plans. For example, the Vegas residency, there was supposed to be 3 guitarists, and there was 2. The drum tech became the keyboard player. Then a different lead guitarist came in. So what I'm getting at was, towards the end of your Marilyn Manson run, was there ever a talk of you taking over, coming back in the Brian Young role?
No, because I've always been working.
Yeah.
Always been working, and I'm very loyal to whoever I work with. I think it's a very important trait to have in the music business, is like, if you are, working, the grass is not always greener. And it's really good for artists to know that too. Because, a gig with, who knows, the biggest artist in the world could only last, a month or 2, but who you're with could last a lifetime, and I've always been very loyal, very, very, very loyal, unless I get fired or something, then I got to go. But other than that, I'll stick around.
And the last question I have related to Diamond Dave, before I just compliment Sinner much, much more, is looking at all the work you did related to him. It was the late 90s, and then you came back again 10, 12 years later. No one knows. Oh, let me ask that. When was this unreleased album made? Because there's been so many things, like was it 07? Was it 11, 12?
Well, there's a bunch of different times. So we've always got together and wrote songs. So it's a amalgamation of different years and different times.
You just cleared up so much right there. Thank you. So the last thing I was looking to go to is, every time I interview a Roth past or present band member, they were looped in by Bissonette, Tuggle. Like, in other words, there's a recruiting network that it never seems to stop, even if you stop playing with Dave. Did any of that have to do with you, or is it the old story of you found the contact info in his book, sent it to management, and that was that?
That's the true story. Nobody knew who I was, and I just called out of nowhere, and said, "Are you guys looking for songs?" And it was like pretty much the luck of the draw, I sent those songs in. I pretty much sent Slam Dunk, Relentless, and Little Texas in with no vocals. And then, he really dug it. And then we just recorded them.
Awesome. Well, back to Sinner. Do you already have the next album in mind, or is it really one album at a time with you and one touring cycle at a time?
Well, what I'm doing, I thought this was interesting. What I'm doing is, I like to do a record, and then I'm going to do a live record for that record. Like let's say, we'll use Van Halen as an example. Let's say Fair Warning comes out.
Yeah.
Then they go on tour, and then they put out Fair Warning live. How great would that be? Like, to have Women and Children First live, Fair Warning live, Diver Down live, 1984 live. I mean, I just think that would be so cool. So that's just what I'm doing with my stuff. So we'll have Sinner live, and that'll be the next record. We'll have a DVD with it, because everybody watches music nowadays, and I think it's wonderful. I love YouTube. I love Instagram. I love all that stuff, So I think it's really cool.
So looking at everything that you work on, keeping in mind that that work with Roth was done years ago. So you have this great solo career where you've been very prolific while working with Rob at a high level, while getting LA Rats off the ground per se. How do you keep up all that energy? And I say that because so many people burn out even at the idea of doing one album and 100 shows in support of it.
I don't know. I'm just wired with being so hungry. I'm so hungry. I'm so driven. And I'm worried that's going to go away one day. You know, I'm worried. I'm like, yeah, I want to stay home. I'm like, I hope that never happens. I don't think it will. Like, look at Elton John, look at Rod Stewart, look at the Stones. They don't need to go out and tour. You know, they just love it. And it's just how they're wired. And hopefully I'll be like that and always be like that. And I'm still very hungry.
Stay hungry, like Twisted Sister said. And the last thing before I let you go, so you can do that cardio, because you need to do that cardio. No, you don't. Do you have a TV recommendation you could pass along? I know you're a big treating Halloween as the month of programming. So I don't know if you're going to say something on Shudder or you're going to say something so off brand. Please give me a TV recommendation.
Let's see. I think that's a great question. And the obvious is what I'm giving you is like Squid Game, which is so wonderful. It really is wonderful. Another one, which really scared me, actually. I was like, whoa, this is like crazy, is Them.
Oh, yeah.
So I recommend those two.
Good picks. You and my wife are watching the same exact stuff. So, John, thank you for your time. Thank you for the many years of great music. Looking forward to whatever comes next, whether it's chicken picking, whether it's horror, whatever it is. Thank you for being you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Paltrocast.